things. There's a few things. This one thing I would love to share, but I don't know if I'm ready. But to hear you and to hear how you what you're how bold you're showcasing this, it's like wow. Seriously, I admire you, Elena. And you too, Isaac. I mean, you both of you all's ability to showcase and share these type of experiences, which not many people probably can relate to, or maybe a lot can, and maybe it just there's a lot of stories that are out there. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are actually afraid. So the word choice, I as knowing your story as you're reading it, I closed my eyes listening to this, and I think I'm just going to start closing my eyes from here on. I try to keep my eyes open because I don't want y'all to think I'm going to sleep, but it's actually me trying to listen. So I think from here on, I'm just going to start closing my eyes. So if y'all see me with my eyes closed, I'm not asleep. But Elena and Isaac gonna be like, "Dang, Trey, rude." But yeah, just the word choice, the tone of your voice. I could picture it. The imagery of what you were saying being in my head. I think that was the most goosebump moment. You gave me goosebumps with that poem because I could literally imagine I can imagine the sea creatures. I can imagine like being in an ocean and not knowing what's beneath. You painted that imagery, and that imagery was in my head. That aspect of imagery was in my head. Just sea creatures and being in an ocean and not. So just the word choice you used really sucked the listener into that poetry, that poem. And so I thank you for that, and I thank you for allowing me to reassess something I think I may want to share at some point, but just not ready yet. And I actually didn't even know this until you just read that. So it's funny how things that you hear can trigger things that you didn't even realize you had to share. So I thank you.
Well, kind of like what Isaac said earlier, like that's why I write what I write and I do what I do is because I know I'm not the only woman or even
Mm-hmm.
child,
Oh yeah.
male or woman out there that
Mm-hmm.
experienced what I've experienced, and
Yeah.
not everybody is ready or feels like strong enough to talk about it. And
Yeah.
it's sad because the less it's talked about, the more it happens. The
Facts.
less we fight to bring the awareness out, the more people get away with doing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what's done to many other children in the world. That it breaks my heart because I can care, not that I can care less that it happened to me, but it hurts that it didn't just happen to me
Mm.
and that was it breaks my heart and makes me want to do something about it, that it's happening to other kids that I
Mm.
can't save because they're not telling anybody,
Mm.
or
Mm.
even even adolescents or even
Mm.
adults, still go through it and
Mm.
still keep it to themselves because of the shame, the guilt, the scare, the fear. It's hard to talk about, but it's so much needed.
Mm. Mm. Isaac, man, you better take this, man. Like, anything you got to
Well,
say, man? Yeah.
Um, I think the poem itself, for me, uh, I want to be honest, but I don't want to be rude about it. When you started the poem, I was trying to get into it, but when you talked about the ocean, it made me think of when I was uh, going on a band trip, and we went to Florida, and it
Mm.
just reminds me of the ocean being like that. And when we got out, my skin was just raw from all the salt water and all that stuff. So
Mm.
I kind of got distracted with the ocean and then connecting to other things. So I apologize about that.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I think marking her last point, going back to me, I think it's a self-serving kind of thing too, because when we write, we take it out of our minds into
Mm.
writing, and it kind of releases that inner turmoil.
Yep.
But we also want to do it to help others, because the more we don't talk about it, the more we harm ourselves, and in the same aspect, the more we harm others.
Mm.
Because uh, uh, you can be you can be extremely smart, you can have all the intelligence in the world, but if you don't use your intelligence, you don't use your brain, there's what is it? What is it?
You don't use it, you lose it.
I mean, I guess in that sense too, I can still use my brain without telling other people about what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more like if knowledge is power, but powerless if you don't express it, or something like that. Knowledge is power, but powerless if you don't use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, Elena and I both have our knowledge about some are the same. Some of the experiences align together,
Mm-hmm.
and some don't because obviously each has their own experience. But if we don't speak up about it, then it gets stuck in our mind, and then our mind controls us, and we don't control our mind. And then when we find out how to better our situation in our own head, we want to share it with other people. That way, they can learn much quicker than we did because again, we spent years going through that, and we want to make sure that other people don't take all those years because at the end of the day, the rate of self commit is way higher than we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's attempts or whether it's succession, it doesn't matter. For me, it's like I figured it was like 4 or 5 years ago where I was like, man, this whole situation of like on the world stage, we have people trying to fight each other, not like in World War I or World War II.
Mm-hmm.
It's more psychological warfare.
Yeah.
And if we have the knowledge to help, even if we're not, big important people,
Mm-hmm.
we are still important, and we still have the knowledge that most other people would not have in that same instance.
Mm-hmm.
We think about the generation before us, and a child called it. They were, well, maybe that's 2 generations now, but they were allowed to like strike their children when they were out of line. And obviously, when you have leniencies, people will take it too far. So that's why, in that sense, he was taken away from his parents or from his mom. I think the dad was already gone, but the mom was doing that, and he was taken away, and and then the more exposure to physical violence that everybody had, the more restrictions there were. And I think now we're just doing the same thing, except instead of physical abuse, it's mental abuse. And in 10, 20, maybe 30 years' time, we'll have a lot of restrictions on that. And hopefully more regulatory psych evaluations to help the people that are suffering from it and the people that are being having to be inflicted of that same thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I love what you just said, man. Being a voice, you and Elena, and me too, in instances in which I have experienced, we all have a voice. We all have a responsibility. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to put it that way. We have a responsibility, like you said, Elena. There's kids out there who are going through this stuff right now. Right now, they're going through this exact same stuff. Right as we speak, so a kid is probably being molested or, in some sense experiencing some form. And so what we're doing right now, we have to. It's a responsibility. You have to. You really have no choice.
It's a service.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
It's a service. It's an act of service. At least the way we use our poetry is our gift on how we can be an act of service to others.
I'm about to end this call, man. Y'all better start y'all better stop playing, man. Like seriously, I'm about to end this call because it's we've gotten just too real. I feel like if I post this, the cops are coming, like the feds are coming after me. I don't know what, like I don't know why I feel like this information we've expressed tonight is like seriously like high class, security profile. Like I don't know, it just seems like stuff that people don't talk about, but just needs to be talked. Everything we've said here thus far, it's just it's resonated with even me. Like I'm getting choked up. I'm not sure about y'all, but like, Isaac, I envy you right now because you have your camera off. But I'm like, man, if I could hide behind this camera, it'll probably be snot and everything out my nose right now. Like, and then I'll have to come back to the mic and just mute and but it truly hits me what I'm hearing from you and Isaac, you all's word choice and the conviction behind the word choice. Man, I'm gonna move on, man. Let me. It's my turn. But thank you both. Thank you both, man. This is just incredible. Let me see. Hey, man, isn't it pretty tough? It's like it's almost as if like as we go in the circle, as we share our poems, it's like I'm not sure if y'all are feeling this way, but I'm feeling like my shell is cracking. Like I didn't even know I had a shell, but like after tonight, I've kind of like identified a shell and it's cracking. And so with every poem, I'm having to like kind of like reposture myself so I don't cry. I'm like, all right, hold on, no, like I'm like, man, why am I more sensitive on this one? Like I'm just scrolling and I just feel like crying. I'm like, hold on, man, like
my hands were shaking earlier.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this stuff, this is getting deep. I'm like, man. All right. I just don't want to land on like a poem that's gonna just make the whole thing crack open. I mean, if that happens, I'm making up. Like I just want y'all to know that right now. If I start crying, hey, don't y'all say it. I don't need anyone to hit me up. I don't need anyone to post in the group. I'll see y'all next month. All right. Nah, but man, wow. Let me see. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I think this is another good one. I'm sure this was when I was in college. Or actually a few years after. Okay, so this one's called During Hard Times. During hard times, I'll press. During hard times, there's no stress. Even though there's stress, I know it's just another test. Because if I'm to become a diamond, I got to be hard pressed. This here was a poem, I'm sure. It judging from the date, it looks like I think I was actually just starting my entrepreneurial journey. I think I was just now starting to like actually create Let's Just Talk. It's funny, yeah. I think I was actually just now starting to create this brand. I started on Instagram, and I was just kind of like, I think I had just gotten let go from my job because COVID kind of had taken off, and we were just kind of in that whole mixture. And I was trying to figure out Let's Just Talk. I was just trying to figure out where I wanted to go with it, and I just kind of didn't really have a sense of direction. So I think in some sense, I described that as a form of hard times. I was like, I'm being hard pressed. It felt like I was it was pressure on all sides. I was dealing with like a few things, a few people who were not in agreement with what I was doing. So a few people who were actually doubting what I was doing, who were actually trying to tear me down. It's funny how when you take leaps of faith, you have a lot of people who going back to what you said earlier, Elena, those closest to you. It could be that friend or that, mom or dad or anybody that can just kind of say these words to you that it hits, but then you have to reevaluate and reposition yourself to take to withstand that blow and not crumble underneath it. So I think I was in one of those moments, and I kind of use poetry to just in some sense vocalize the feelings, but then also re-encourage myself. So where we have poetry that can in some sense express the sadness or the despair or the hard times or things of that nature, we also have the side of poetry that can offer us encouragement, that can offer us tranquility, that can become like in some sense a sanctuary for us. And so I think this poem was just that. It was me encouraging myself by writing out my feelings, and then now that I'm reading it, I'm able to dive back into that scenario, and I'm actually re-encouraged. Like I feel renewed in a sense. So yeah, yeah, this was definitely just a time of being hard pressed, but then also you can hear the struggle. I'm fighting in a sense with myself. I'm like, I said, during hard times, there's no stress, even though there's stress. There's stress, but I ain't stressing. That's kind of the mentality there. So it's amazing what poetry can do and how you can wrestle with yourself with poetry. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It was very, that was a very inspirational and like motivational piece. Like
Mm.
that's a good one for people to hear because sometimes no matter how much pressure you're under, you gotta push through. You
Yeah.
gotta harden yourself and
Mm-hmm.
become that diamond that you want to be.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man. And the diamond is hard pressed. It goes through that pressure before it's hard. So
Mhm.
yeah, you're exactly right. It's just that aspect of knowing that it's nothing but a test. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Isaac, man, if you don't have anything to say, man, you have the floor.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how many poems we were going to do. So while you're reading yours, I was trying to find a different one for me. So I apologize for not really being
No,
in the moment.
no, you're good, man. You're good. Actually, we're gonna end it off with Elena. So this is the last loop. This was three, but I know we did a lot of commentary with it. But it was absolutely amazing. But yeah, we can end it off with Elena if y'all want to. Now we can go a little longer if you want to. But yeah, I
I
was
think this
looking.
will be the last one I share because otherwise I'm going to run out of poems eventually. I can't write. I can't write really long poems as quickly
Yeah,
as I can read them.
I know. I understand. I understand. Mine are like 3 lines, so that's why I have like a million.
All right, this I found this one, and I think I think with what we were saying before, I think we talk about all these things because they're current events. So I think
Mm,
it's talking about NPD or the abuse in that sense is it's current events. So that's why we talk about it. But for
mm,
this, I think when you're under that sort of spell, you kind of uh, don't understand what is actually life and what is actually fantasy.
mm,
You kind of can't tell the difference. So in that same aspect, this one is called Dream.
mm. Wow.
One day I dream, after 2 years, I finally get to see the scene where I snap. Hope it is still an act of someone who used to claim that they know me. Hearing the whales flow as the demons finally surface and show me what I've known to be true all along, the fading of yesteryear, as my mind and body currently stay clear. As I hope dreams come true, one day you telling me I was right, as I penny pinch my sister that is not all right. I beat you for stealing her away. Ignitions of fiery love to the hopes for the stars above. I finally get to set aflame. You heard me right. The school is just at the twilight. Another soldier's memory day. Fort Myers is back again. CPTSD and Black Adam I see. As my dreams become flutters, no longer a memory. I fight back, and your love is finally set free. I know this to be true. I dreamt drearily. I take a stance, as everyone else lives in a trance. I cannot hear the voices humming. You finally know who I claim to be. As the lightning fades, so do those good old days. You do know that I will eventually see. As third eye closes once again, I should stay clean. Since I can finally dream, as suppression lets my emotions finally play, I find it fitting that I remember this Memorial Day. Life had not given me an option. However, happy belated Mother's Day. You don't even know, neither does your husband, but that doesn't show. Even if you knew the ramifications, would the alienations be so gruesome? You lose your entire world, but you still refuse to lose him. As much as my smile has diminished away, your suffering puts a smile on my face. Once the story ends, and you have no more family and friends, I'll be battling suicide and MS from taking over. The latter, less flattering days, I can finally live in bliss. As tomorrow comes again, I can support these rights. It damages my blights, as love is never earned this way. I can't accept you if you can't do it too. I've taken a long road to be this way. June is almost here, and I can't sit here and think how it used to be. I want to accept everyone, but science has made it clear. Everyone is sick. Dystopia is already here. Just like this poem, I spent way too long there. If I could beat the sense into you, I promise you, hope would be oh so endear. As my thought finally comes to a close, my throat remains unchoked. I can finally say that the memories, good, not so bad, are finally gone in my rearview mirror. As you wither away, earn your stripes and throw your new toy under, I can finally say, you won't be able to steal my thunder. Dreary dries away, blunder to blunder, as my ears ring, waking me up for me to say, I've dreamt of burning you to the ground, making sure you couldn't run away. Now that I've actually dreamt of you, even in my dreams, I am still trying to convince you that your husband is just downright insane. The tables turn as you are Duncan Sheik, one hit wonder. Now, who was born yesterday? I, in my core, wish to truly help. I just know my 2 cents as your intuition fades away. Stay grounded as your head hides away. The only difference between me and headlights is I'll never turn them on for you. They'll only be automatic for people who know my words to be true.
Love it, man. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. You got to give us a little more background before I address it. I just want to, I guess, in some sense, if you can give us a little bit of backgrounds into who you are addressing here, if you don't mind me asking.
I'm addressing a few people.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about the dream in itself was a sense of when I was under my parents' wing.
Mm,
They never really told me the truth. They always tried to change the story and make me question myself. So
yeah.
in a sense, I was always in a dream.
Mm,
So when I said after 2 years I finally get to see the scene, I actually when I fell asleep, I dreamt of when I told my mom that no, whatever she's saying is not right, and that what she's saying is just trying to manipulate me, and that I'm not no longer going to stand for it.
yeah. Whew.
So the fading of yesteryear is, it's been a long time since I've been in that situation.
Yeah.
It seems like it's getting further away from me as I know that my mind is becoming clearer. The fog
Mm,
is starting to lift. Um, I did the next version of Another Soldier's Memory Day. Fort Myers is back again. I actually wrote Fort Myers as a poem. I don't know if I kept it or if I got rid of it at some point, but
mm,
was kind of a play on my sister's husband and
mm.
how all of that has taken effect on my sister, and now how has she taken effect on him, not fully understanding everything that has happened.
Mm,
Uh, I talked about uh, where is it? The lines like earning your stripes. There we go.
mhm,
Uh, when I said earning your stripes, my mom right before they went down to go to the funeral of my grandma,
mm,
my mom told me that she earned her stripes, which is obviously the forehead lines. She earned her
mm.
stripes. She's been alive. She's been through so much, and she has the battle scars to prove it.
Yeah. Mhm,
And then I also talk about Duncan Sheik, where he's I think he was a singer back in the '80s.
mm,
He has a one-hit wonder song. I forget what it's called every single time, but it's pretty much Duncan Sheik talks about the pain of love and being played like he was born yesterday. So I
Mm,
go, okay, so now who was born yesterday? It's not me because I know the truth. But you still want to live in that fantasy world.
mm,
So you're still born yesterday because you still believe that there is good in him, that there's this, that there's that. And even if you know the whole thing and you stay with him because uh, staying in a marriage is better than getting a divorce.
mm.
The problem is that if you stayed in the marriage for your children, you didn't need to grab foster children to continue the marriage because everybody was out, so you had your chance to leave, but
Yeah.
you chose to stay. So um, you want to be someone that was just born yesterday every day. That's your choice, and it's not mine.
Mm. Man, man.
It's powerful.
Hmm. Yeah, you can go ahead, Elena. I'm sorry.
I mean, that was powerful.
Hmm.
It was
Like,
extremely long, so probably a lot to digest.
I mean, you almost make it like a screenplay in a sense.
Hmm.
Like, you know, when they show like, I don't know how to describe it. Like when you see shows that like they're at the movies, but they're watching like a really old, like black and white film where it's like
Hmm.
plays one scene and then it cuts and then it's another scene and then it cuts and then it's
Yeah.
like something else. Like that's
Hmm.
when you read your poetry, like that's how it plays through my head. It's like a whole screenplay and it's I mean, yeah.
Hmm.
And the part about like where you said, what was it? I won't turn my headlights on for you. I'll keep them on automatic for those. What did you say for those who are smart enough to see it or something like that?
Mm.
The only difference between me and headlights is I'll never turn them on for you. They'll only be automatic for people who know my words to be true.
Yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
That was really
Hmm.
touching. I loved that part. Like that was that part stood out to me the most. I really liked that a lot.
Hmm.
Uh, that part was a play on so like I said, I have Eminem is a real big inspirer for me.
Hmm.
This is actually called Headlights, and he talks about uh, his reunion with his mom and
Hmm.
whatnot. And I go, look, Eminem might be talking about a reunion with his mom, but in the future, that is not for me. I'm not turning my headlights on for you.
Yeah.
They're gonna be for people who deserve it, not for someone who decided to continue to lie to me.
Right. When you read that, I almost saw myself as like a deer standing in front of like a car's headlights.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just how
Imagery.
it did with me.
Yeah, his imagery, the imagery, yeah, that you used, and you have that gift too, Elena. In many instances, like you showcase it every now and then. But the portrait about your euphoria, or euphobia, right?
Uh, the thalassophobia.
Yeah, yeah. That was. I mean, again, the imagery that both of you and Isaac, can paint, I think it's incredible. I don't really focus on imagery with my poetry. I don't think I really like focus on that aspect of allowing a person to see what I'm going through, but more so feel. But you both tie both of those elements into your poetry, and it becomes a matter of feeling and seeing. That takes a lot. Like that takes skill, and I think that skill comes easy to both of you. From what I'm hearing, it's just a matter of, again. That's why I love closing my eyes. It's so amazing because this poetry night thing is exactly what I planned it to be. Like it's funny because at first I planned it to, like, in a sense, be almost like nap time for me. Like if that makes any sense. If that makes any sense, I literally planned it to be like nap time, and in the sense to where it'll be like each person has like 10 minutes where they can pour everything out, while all the other listeners either cut their camera off, they hop in the bed, and they set their timer for 10 minutes and they go to sleep listening, like it to that point. And it, in a sense, has become that because, again, I find myself closing my eyes while you're reading, Isaac. While you're reading, I promise you, I thought I was in a trance or in some state. I'm serious, bro, because you were reading, you were reading, and I literally had my eyes closed, and they were closed for about good, what felt like 3-4 minutes, and it just felt like I was just in this state of just, like Elena said, it was like a movie scene. Like you in a sense hijacked my mind, and then I got it back when you closed out, and I was like, what the heck? Like, where am I? You know? So I just love that because that's exactly how I pictured this being, poetry night being this aspect of rest. I don't want it to feel like a homework assignment. I don't want it to feel like a, you coming here, hey, did you do your homework? Hey, did you? No, it feels more so like I could probably write a poem on the spot and just say it. That's how this feels. So I thank you both for bringing that to the table, that sense of vibe to the table. Yeah.
I think Elena would probably understand this with the whole NPD kind of thing. It's a lot about perfectionism. So I know in some sense that still kind of hinders me, and I want it to be perfect, even though I know it's impossible to achieve every single time and damn near impossible to achieve any time.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, my words painting pictures, when they say pictures, a picture is worth 1,000 words, I have to strive to be to paint that picture with my words because I can't actually paint very well. I can't draw a picture. I can't paint a picture. So I have to make up for it with the words that I try to use to implement the painting inside your mind. So I think that's one of the reasons that I do longer form poetry, because I want to get as close to 1,000 words of a picture as I can.
It's almost as if you do it because you want them to understand it the way that you experienced it. So you have to like find the right words to make sure that when they hear what you're saying, that they're kind of reliving it with you so they can better understand you, better understand like the events that you went through. And like that's how I take it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew she knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. I love that, man. That's dope. Dope. Elena, will you take us home? Will you, you may bring us right on into our sleep, man. This may do it. Isaac, if you're driving, bro, pull over, man. She may just take us on to sleep.
Well, I've been pulled over the entire time. I didn't want to have a split attention.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I appreciate that, man. That means so much. Wow.
Okay, so we got a little deep, went a little dark, got a lot of feelings. So I'm gonna bring it back to get us feeling good for the rest of the night. This one is called "There's Beauty in My Reflect." Hold on, let me say that. There's beauty in my reflection. I'm in awe of the woman staring back at me. The pain in her eyes, it sparkles, yet tells a story of all the heartache she's overcome. The crooked smile on her mouth, so beautiful and bold, it carries the tale of the strength she's had to obtain to get where she is today. I'm standing in a mirror looking at me, but I'm in awe of the woman I see.
When did you write that one?
Let's see.
That's a really good question, actually. Mm-hmm.
That one was, I want to say 2021. Yeah. Because I remember it was, actually, no, I think it was summer of 2020 because it was during COVID.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That is so awesome. Because again, you speak on how it was recent, that you kind of found, you know, your self-worth again, or that sense of your own voice, your own, you know, in Isaac poetry words, your own bicycle. You know, he mentioned that in one of his poems. And so, hey man, look, I'm listening, bro.
It's all good. Make whatever connections you can.
Yeah, y'all use so many good words. Like I have to piggyback off of it, and again, it resonates. You, Elena, you talk about how you, and even with Isaac, you both talk about the narcissistic experiences that you both had, but then you talk about, Elena, how it was more recent that you feel like you found that sense of identity now. You know, so to hear you writing something like that in 2020, you know, I see, and to see you now, that's not that far, but to see where you were there, I saw, you can hear the light and hear how the light was there, even then, piercing through that darkness or piercing through the cracks. And you were beginning to see that reflection, going back to your poem, of who you were and being proud in it. I think that's what you mentioned at the last line, that you were proud of it. You were proud of that aspect of reflection and realizing that this is who you've become. And that right there, you know, no one can take that from you, even though, you know, your father did this or your mom did that or someone else did that. They can't take from you what you know.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. In a sense, at that time, I was still on my trike, you know, but I was staring at the bike that I wanted. So
There you go. There you go. There you go. Staring at the bike that you want. Ooh, come on.
How many
bars? Love it.
I think the poem for me is, I think what's special about this poem is that you could write it at any point in time and it would still hold true. It's so timeless. It's such a timeless poem because when you realize what you're seeing in the reflection and you're happy about seeing it, every time you look at the reflection after that, you just see all the positive reinforcement you have in yourself. You see the hardships that you had to go through and the pain in the eyes, like she just said. You know, you see all the happiness, and every time you look in a mirror, every time you see a reflection, you're reminded of that, and it brings happiness to you in that same sense every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So you can look at your reflection. You can pass a mirror being happy, you know? There's some people that spend their entire life avoiding mirrors because they hate the way they look, like just physically, you know, let alone mentally. But now you can pass with, you know, hopefully it's both the physical and the mental satisfaction of who you are now, Elena.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of where it stemmed from, is when I wrote that, it was the first time I had looked in the mirror and felt like gratitude and goodness about myself. You know, before that, I put myself down. I didn't like the way I looked. And that was also around the time I started my fitness journey.
Wow, let's go.
You know, so I started getting into fitness and I was starting to work out and I started to feel good about myself. And it was like, I could finally look in the mirror and go like, you're here, like you've come, you're here. And I'm so proud of you. And look at you shine, you know, like all that stuff, all that darkness, you know, it used to cloud you, but now you're shining. And so that's why I wrote it. Yeah. So you guys kind of hit it right on the dot.
I mean, around the time you started to finish it, that just makes sense. Like you should have started with that, because that just makes sense. Like that, yeah. Usually when the mental is upgraded, there's no way, absolutely no way, you won't be able to see that physically.
Right.
If the physical will follow, it may not be there yet. It may not be all the way there. You may not be all the way where you want to be, but usually, typically, and I would say in some sense, by the laws of physics, you know, the physical follows the mental. It does. It really does. It truly does. When you're feeling good, you're going to make sure you start getting your hair cut. You're going to start brushing your teeth. Your room is going to start to look a lot cleaner. You know, you're going to start to smell better. You're going to start, like, just all these different things, man. So, like,
I figured that'd be a good one to end the night with.
that's it. I had a lot of nightmares lined up for me, but not now.
I think that in itself is the story, because we talked about all the depressing things and dug deeper into that and deeper into that, and then just like when you go through all that and you make it to the other side, you're happy to see your reflection. You're happy to do this. So I think it was best to have that one last. So you're right. Elena going last is for the best.
Hey, the palindrome. Let's go. Look, a palindrome. Literally will wind it back. Like that's man, y'all are dope, man. This is dope. This is so dope. I can't wait to get off here because I'm gonna typically what I'm doing is I'm pulling people from TikTok. There's a lot of poets on TikTok. I'm not sure if you both have seen the poetry community on TikTok, but it's huge. But I've been in the comments of a lot of the videos that's going viral, and I usually go in there and I'll ask people, "Hey, you want to join my poetry group? Hey, you write poetry? Hey," and so I'm adding people, or I'll be trying to add people into the poetry group from TikTok. So be ready, because there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them, and they've actually been wanting to join. A lot of them are actually shy. That's both the annoying but also the encouraging part of TikTok and the poetry community. People are very shy to share their poetry.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's why poets are poets, though, is because they can hide behind their words. They can hide behind their writing, and you're bringing us out there. You're bringing us off the paper and into the sharing it to the world. So you're doing something for us.
Facts. You're right. You're exactly right, and I appreciate that. Yeah. It fires me up because when knowing you both, Isaac and Elena, and hearing what you both have to share, it's like, man, there's another Isaac, there's another Elena out there somewhere who's door dashing right now. Instead of being on a poetry night, and I got to make sure that happens. But there's an Elena out there who has a dog, and who has kids, and she could be at poetry night, but she's taking care of the kids, and again, she should be, but at the same time, she could have put it on the schedule. And so that's what brings me, that's what fires me up. Again, I know this is my gift. My gift is to rally people. I'm the again, it's that type of commander, general, king, whatever you want to call it, where you just rally an army. That's my gift. I want to pull the potential that people have inside of them out and allow them to showcase it. That's what I'm all about with these groups, man. So thank you all for allowing me to do that. Thank you both for being willing to take time out of your day. Isaac, man, thank you. You are door dashing. I door dashed for about 2.5 years straight. I understand the hustle with that. But for you to pull over, you probably got orders hitting your phone right now, because I know, yet you're like, hey, I'm gonna report. Like, that means so much to me, bro. And Elena, you too. You took a picture of the freaking date, and she sent it to me. She sent it to me. She sent it to me, and it was like, Trey, I marked it. I mean, you have no idea how that makes me feel. Like, I'm honored. I'm truly honored from you both. And so thank you both for this time. Thank you for your willingness and your transparency to, express and display what it is that you both have written throughout the years from 2018, and things of that nature. So thank you. Guys, if all of y'all have been listening to this, any of our listeners are listening to this, and you've made it this far into the video, please follow both of these people, Elena and Isaac. I'll make sure that I have your social medias in the description. But if we can just, Isaac and Elena, close out with both of you shouting out where you are on IG, Instagram, and things of that nature for people who may want to follow you. Starting with Elena, if you can do that for us, just so people can know who you are and where you are.
Well, I'm excited for you to bring more people in, because that's what me and Isaac are here for, is to make them stop being so shy and listen to us, hear us speak, so that way we can help them bring them out of their shells. And if you need a little guidance or a little push, hit me up on IG, TikTok, or YouTube at It's Elena Marie, ITSELENA MARIEE.
I love it. Isaac, man.
Well, before I start doing my texts, I think I know you're still recording, so I don't want to like really take up too much. But like I guess another YouTuber I watch, she does like final thoughts or like last thoughts or something like that. So I guess you could implement that later on or implement it now. I don't really, it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to say like art inspires art, like I said yesterday. And even if they're shy, if they see our passion and are want to share, then they'll be more willing to do so. And I think poetry is a competitive nature, so they'll want to be competitive and try to be as good or better than what other people think of me, Elena, or you or anybody else. But with that being said, I think trying to do the social media thing for me is really weird. So maybe I'm trying to put it off. But Instagram is Zerbers, Zarebrz. Very weird. Twitter is P.I. minor 49er. What are the others? And I think YouTube is just Pim, capital P dot lowercase I dot capital M dot.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And again, I'll make sure that I grab both of you all's social media. I'll have it in the description as well. So that people can know at least, who you all are, or at least in some sense, if they want to reach out and just add you and ask you questions. I think both of you tell stories and tell them amazingly through your poetry. And so there may be a lot of people who may come with similar experiences, narcissistic experiences, or, being molested or anything of that nature, but those are things that I think a lot of people can't talk to. But when you could find someone who has gone through those things and you can talk to them, I think that is definitely worth, reaching out. So for anybody, man, who wants some form of contact with both of these amazing people here, definitely check the description below. But with that said, man, thank you all so much. Elena, Isaac, viewers, listeners, thank you. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you too want to join this group, I have both a public and a private poetry group. We do poetry night every week for the private, every month for the public. But if you want to join, you can hit me up, or you can click the link in my bio, or on TikTok, or on IG in my bio. And you can join those groups there as well. But thank you guys so much for taking out your time. Leave comments below if you have any comments or questions, and we'll respond to them as well. But like I said, man, follow these amazing people and don't be afraid to share. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, come outshine us.
She's challenging y'all. She's challenging. TikTok. Call them out, man, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them, man, on TikTok. I've talked to like 10 of them, and they've all kind of been like they'll send like these nervous eye emojis, and they'll just be like, me. I'm like, yes, come on, but none of them budge. So, guys, we're calling you out, man. You can do this. You can do this. Come on, TikTokers. But with that said, guys, Elena, Isaac, if y'all can stay on, I'm just gonna end the recording, and then we can just kind of chat it up a bit afterwards. But guys, until next time, man, as you know, peace.